Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're just landing here. I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Got my cards in my hand, shuffling. Taping this early Sunday morning. Like many of you, I was really surprised on Friday when we got the decision handed down by Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Real, it felt for a moment like a gut punch, like, one of those, et tu brute moments, right? But it just didn't resonate. It's like that's not her. She has been very, very clear in her dissents, in her book, in her personal appearances. We know what we're working with Ketanji Brown Jackson, with Justice Jackson. So her decision around SNAP, right? After the two court orders, ordering the administration to go ahead and release the emergency funding and fully fund the SNAP, or at least they said some said partially fund, and then others said no, there's enough money to find to fully fund it. The administration, rather than comply, of course, do what they do always do, and they filed an appeal, right? Then that wasn't going fast enough according to plan, so they bumped it to the Supreme Court. Typical, because up until now, by and large, when they do that, they get something that's favorable to the administration, right? So when Justice Jackson's decision came down, that appeared, all the headlines, especially right wing media, came out, score another one for this administration, for Kanks. This went our way. But over the weekend, many of you may have seen, and I've been following it as well. People are like, pay attention. Tanji Brown Jackson was playing chess, not checkers. And the idea, and this is what I want to go to Spirit and confirm, is that what she actually was doing, or is doing, is by sending the case back to the lower court. In that district, there are Biden and Obama appointed judges. So the idea of how this appeal will ultimately, what decision is going to be rendered, is going to be more along the lines of keep in alignment with ordering those funds to be released. But also that in doing so, what Justice Jackson was doing was setting the stage for an audit of what has happened to those funds, because many of you have put in my comments, and let me just say, I so appreciate you all, like your knowledge. You stay on top of things. I read the comments. Like I say all the time, I treat this channel like a community. You all are on it, and I learn a lot from you. A lot of times my bells ring because of something that you might suggest. So people have been saying, no, this was about triggering an audit. This was about forcing them to show what they have done with the money, because a lot of you have been asking, did they spend that money? Right? Was that money taken and put someplace else? And that's why they're trying to snatch it away, because they don't have it to give, or they'd have to go get it. How about taking some of that money back from the $170 billion that was given to Department of Homeland Security and ICE, right? But okay, so I want to go to Spirit first and see, to get a little more revelation around the motives of Ketanji Brown Jackson, and why she rendered the decision that way, why she sent it back to the lower court. Spirit, why did Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson send that back to the court, to the lower court? Why did she do that? What was her thinking? What's the truth behind this? We have the Five of Pentacles. It is about the money, you all. And it's about their claims that, there's just insufficient funds, or that it's putting them in a bind, that basically they'd have to go find the money from someplace else. So what did you do with it? Because early on, we've already seen the documents that have gone online, been circulated on the internet, that they said, we have these funds in case of an emergency, not even the regular funds. We have the SNAP funds in case of an emergency, and suddenly, but we don't, or we can't use them. We refuse to use them. Ace of Earth. I love it. If you're with me, you know that when I get my aces, that's how my guides speak to me and say I'm on the right track with that. So yes, that is a part of her thinking. She is interested in making them show the USDA and whatever other organizations involved in this within the government, within the administration, making them show what happened to that money. What did you do with it? We have the Three of Cups. I feel like there's also a timing element to this. Three of Cups very often can represent a time of celebration, of course, but also a time of holidays. And so going into the holidays, because another thing that I saw, not even like, spiritual woo-woo download, but factually we saw is that part of the reasoning behind Justice Jackson's decision is speed, because it would be faster to have the lower courts render a decision. It would be a delay should it proceed through the Supreme Court. And I don't quite understand that. I'm being, I keep it real on the channel, right? I don't quite understand that, because I was under the assumption that she could just issue a ruling that said, no, do it. Court said do it, do it. But apparently there's more of a process to that. And we have the sun. That's what's up, you all. I mean, you can't get a stronger yes than the sun. That's what's up. Ketanji Brown Jackson was not, she didn't have a dark moment. I even wondered, again, keeping it real with you all, I was like, well, is she getting death threats? Or, like what's really going on with this? She knows, one, it will proceed, a final decision, pushback on the administration will proceed faster in the lower court. And by sending it back to the lower court, and the fact that the administration appealed it, they got to show why. Now you got to show. That's the one thing about the legal system. It's all about the documentation. And the Six of Cups. What happened to the money? The Six of Cups is a card very often referring to the past, something that has happened in the past. What did you do with that money? Let's ask. Spirit, I'm being told to pick up. Spirit, did that SNAP funding get used? Did they drain the sources for even the emergency money? Did they drain the contingency funds for SNAP funding? Did they take that and misappropriate that in some way for entertainment purposes only, right? Are those funds gone? Did they use those funds? Are those funds gone bye-bye? Or allocated in some other way? Did this administration and the USDA, to use Steve Bannon's speech, his point, recently referring to 2026 elections, right? If the Dems take it, we're going to prison. And he said we, not just me. He said including me, but he used we, bunch of us. Did they use those funds? The Chariot, ruled by Cancer. And that's such a powerful, thank you, Spirit, that's such a powerful card to pull, not only because it's major arcana, but because remember, you all, what does Cancer represent? The families, family, home, nurturing, the divine, the mother, food. And where did they go with it? The Chariot. And the Sun, here it comes again. And the Sun is one of those cards that just does not appear all the time when you want it to, right? It chooses when it wants to appear. And the Sun, life-giving, literally, and also often reflects children. In many traditional decks, you'll see an image of a child, like on a horseback or something. Life-giving, childlike, the warmth of home, the warmth of family, the warmth of sustenance. And the Moon, they hid it. They did it under the cover of night. 3 major arcana back to back, you all. You saw me shuffle the deck. 3 major arcana back to back. Can't ignore that. Hidden. But I also feel like, so to this point, is This ring is loose. Let me take it off. To this point, will we now find out more? Will there be an audit, and will we find out how those funds were used and where they were taken because of the lower court? The star spirit is not playing today. Yes, let me spray and just keep the energy going. Thank you, spirit. All right, the star for the people. 4 major arcana back to back. Started out with the chariot, then the sun came, and then the moon came, and now we have the star. Point blank, it's too much to ignore, you all. And I think Justice Jackson knew that, how she knew it, but whether she had something on the back end that she'd already received some information, or whether there was something in those filings in the lower courts that triggered her and said, wait a minute, and something, 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. But that's the deal, you all. And so going to this idea that we've been seeing more and more from spirit on so many levels, whether it's border patrol and ICE and arrests now that some cities, Chicago, ooh, please continued prayers in Chicago, really going through it, but fighting back. And that there are other governors and mayors who are like, and even we've seen videos of police officers, local police officers, standing down with ICE and saying, you try to do this, I'll arrest you. Right? The idea being that there is this mounting energy, spirit is saying, around ultimately these people being brought to justice and being held accountable. So that money, one of the reasons that they are resisting, it's not just being mean-spirited. It's not just about causing the trauma and all the other things that we've heard. It is because they took that money and did something else with it, supposedly. All right? Got to say it that way. All right, you all. Another thing I want to look at. So Ketanji, all right? She's playing chess, not checkers. All right. So Elon Musk, who went on Joe Rogan's show, I don't know if it was this past week. I think it was recently, yeah. So but then he does his usual little cryptic post and says, all right, regarding 2026 midterms, guess it's time for us to pull some rabbits out of a hat. 2024 all over again, right? Because we know. The question I'm asking is, because of a more fractured relationship, or at least we're being told a more fractured relationship between Muskrat and Kanks, is he being brought back into the fold for 2026 for purposes of working, pulling some rabbits out of a hat? Is he being pulled back into the fold? Is he just running off at the mouth to be present? He loves the attention, right? That's one reason why he couldn't hang in the White House, because, and people knew that was never going to work because the big egos and, personality disorders, etc. So, but are they going to try and court Muskrat to bring him back in for their purposes for the 2026 election? Are they trying to bring him back in? We have Justice, Libra. Making some decisions about it. The relationship between them, between the administration and Musk. Because this isn't even just about Musk and Kanks. This is about Musk and JD. This is about Musk and Miller. This is about Musk and all the other players. Susie Wiles. This is about him and all the other players within that administration. What is that? The 10 of Pentacles, his money, his influence, his ability to provide the technology. So is that the plan, Spirit? Have they already engaged with him? Have they already undercover engaged with Musk to get him started to work? I feel like there's a push that's happened, especially because of the elections on Tuesday. Are they courting him to bring him back in? Here comes the sun again. Sun is busy today. Yeah. Because they're desperate. And so they're going to put all other issues, ego, maniacal issues aside, And it's whoever's willing to help us. And we have seen increasingly that since Musk has gone, left, not been so present in the White House and in Washington, he's been in the UK. He's spreading a far right message. He's increasingly on that platform. Now here's the thing. I'm getting you all. He sees an opening post Charlie Kirk, post the brouhaha that has happened because of Tucker Carlson giving Nick Fuentes and his Nazi loving self that platform that got Heritage Foundation in big trouble, right? What's his name? Is it Kevin Roberts? Even said, okay, you know what, Heritage Foundation, I'll step aside if I was wrong, because he defended Tucker Carlson giving Nick Fuentes that platform, and Nick Fuentes saw an opening because of Charlie Kirk's demise, or assassination, killing, however you want to say it. Got to be careful on the platform, but. So we've been hearing a lot more about Nick Fuentes in the wake of that, and in the wake of those texts that were discovered, that email thing going around with those young Republicans, right? So is Musk seeing a window to ascend and capture a part of that crowd? That's what I'm getting. Turning point, look, it's on the way down. I don't see Erica Kirk is not going to be able to sustain it. The whole, aside from that scandal around her and JD Vance, that aside, just in terms of leadership in general, she ain't gonna cut it. And that was one reason why JD was trying to step in and slide on in there, perhaps in many ways, because he was hoping to sort of bring that in, under his umbrella as well. Seven of Earth, Seven of Pentacles. He's trying to figure out how he can do it. But he's after spirit. Is Musk going to go after and try and elevate to bring in more of the young male influence to his own ends, to his own purposes? The Two of Earth, the Two of Pentacles. He'll be very slow about it. A lot of what he has done or was doing last year outwardly, where he was given that huge platform, put on every stage, sitting in the White House with Kanks, all of that, where he was so visible. Now he's going to continue to do it more, like the little cryptic drop that he did on X, time to pull a rabbit out of a hat. It's going to be little drip drops, but clearly it's happening behind the scenes, you all. They're already saying, we're going to need your help to do this. It's all hands on deck. And King of Wands is there. His ego. Him wanting to feel relevant. Him wanting to feel that, he's the one who did this. At one point, going back even to Kank admitting out loud out his mouth, what Muskrat did with the voting and the voting machines, right? Thanking him, he and then him acknowledging, and when they fell out, him saying, you wouldn't have been there if it weren't for me. So he loves the idea that he's needed again. And the Six of Pentacles. So now they're just trying to talk about a plan forward. That is what they're doing. The question I think we're all raising at this point is, when you see it coming, like to some extent, I think political powers that be, the populace, everybody was caught flat-footed, right? We saw it, but we were like, this is too far. It can't happen. And it did. Spirit, are there other technological, I'm just going to call them forces because I don't know who they are, but there's got to be other technological titans, maybe not of that same scale, but somebody knows something about a different way to work those machines and or monitor what is happening in the transference of data. That's how Spirit is giving it to me, in the transference of data. Will there be an opposition? Is there also in some pockets of the world? I just heard Barack Obama, people reaching out, because Spirit has been talking a while now about coalitions, right? Coalitions of people coming together and working together across states, across platforms, across different levels of experience, technological and business with governmental, all of that. Is there an opposition in place? 3, the Empress. Okay. Ooh, and the Emperor. Back to back at the bottom of the deck. I can't ignore that. Yes. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if Kamala, because in California, Silicon Valley, but certainly there is a male and female. And I had said Spirit led me to Barack Obama, not necessarily spearheading anything, but being a they just gave me the word clearinghouse. Like he's a place that people would say, if we know this organization, this person, this leader, this technology that is available to counter what someone like Muskrat can do, Palantir, Teal, etc. Who do we even get the word to? Who's safe to approach with that information? And that's where I'm getting someone like a Barack Obama involved with the Emperor and the Empress. I am going back. Because I pulled the Empress so much around, or I have around Kamala Harris, but there is a woman, and they're telling me no, it's not her. She would help, certainly in regards to her connections in high tech in the state of California, but there's someone else who is in that industry who we're going to see emerge as in opposition. It's going to feel like someone like we've heard that Zohran Mamdani, appointing his all-female cabinet, but one of them is, what's her name, Lena Khan, the one who takes it to the corporate interests. Like it's somebody like that who knows how they operate, who knows how the technology and how the data is transferred, stored, disseminated. There's somebody coming for that. So yes, I hope you feel better about that. And the Ten of Pentacles. It's a group. It's a coalition that is already forming in response to that, because people have, the talk of, and especially since last Tuesday with the Democratic, with the blue wave, that now the only way that they know they're going to win is to steal the elections in 2026. But I do see a countermeasure. All right. The last thing that I wanted to mention to you all today is holiday travel. So I had gotten, really since right before the shutdown start, late September, around length of time, because that, of course, that's what we were all talking about. Like, well, how long is this going to go on? And I had gotten repeatedly around mid-November. Well, November is starting to look a little sticky. We've seen, yet another weekend. Nothing has happened. We know now the long game that they have been given orders by Kanks. Keep it closed. Don't care how hard it hurts you, your chances. He already said in regards to certainly Mike Johnson, he said, I am the president and the speaker. Like, who even needs this guy? Like, he doesn't. The keeping Congress at bay is part of the objective. And if keeping the government shut down also keeps Congress at bay, that is the objective. Why they are continuing to allow it to play out this way, I don't know. But more importantly, Spirit, I know that so many of us, myself included, I've got travel coming up. Many people around the holidays. I want to just take a look at that. And now, of all things and of all timing, now we've got Mercury going retrograde. And we know one of the first things that can happen anytime Mercury goes retrograde are things like data disruptions, electronics, and travel disruptions. So it's a rough time. But here's what I'm feeling is that it's not so much around safety. Okay, I want to put that out there. And, again, for entertainment purposes only, by all means, everybody's got to follow your gut, your instincts, and do what feels best and safest for you. But like a wholesale, complete dismantling of people's ability to fly and airlines' ability to fly. I have the Two of Cups, and underneath it, I'm not going to ignore it because it's a major arcana. I've got Gemini, the lovers. Mercury in retrograde, Two of Cups, decisions that are very emotional decisions, because especially when you're talking about the holidays, people's ability to unite with loved ones, like that's important. Now more than ever, that's important. Is it is it going to be okay to fly? Will there be some sort of resolution, especially around airports and air traffic controllers? Ten of Swords. I'm not surprised that I pulled that, because that's essentially where we're at. We're at that point. Complete stress levels just through the roof. And then ten of Wands. So two, when you get tens, for those of you who are not very familiar with tarot, tens like are at the ultimate peak of an energy, like no more. Ten of Wands can be complete burnout. I do feel like this is air traffic controllers and TSA agents, everybody that's trying to keep these airports running. It is not about the airlines themselves, right? The pilots, the stewardesses. It's not. It really is about that other function within the airports, but it's reaching a crest. Like those tens, it's just at, like, it can't go any higher. And so when it gets to that point, something has to give. King of Cups. I'm getting this is what's his name? Duffy. Sean Duffy, head of the FAA. Yeah, and Spirit is confirming the Sun. Will there be more momentum to end the shutdown in time for the holidays, in time for holiday travel? Pisces, the Moon, trying to find a way to make it work. I feel like this is trying to find a way to make it work outside of, and the King of Pentacles shows up. This is people within the airlines, the heads of some of these airlines, getting with that King of Cups, getting with Duffy, or calling some meetings and calling in some I want to say favors, but I don't know if that's what it is. But there's something where they start to run what is coming from Kanks, and saying, look, this is costing us money. This is costing the American people more and more reason to turn against this administration. And the Page of Wands. I'm so glad to see that come, because pages are new energy. And so there's some sort of deal that is reached. It feels like it may be reached with or without the government shutdown, whether or not it's in place. There's something else that has to be done. And the Four of Wands, another card of celebration, of home, of marriage, but marriage like commitment, and perhaps a deal, some sort of deal reached. Don't give up hope, you all. I mean, never, right? We can never give up hope. But there is something where these because the money that is being lost, flights having to be refunded, blah blah blah, the money that is being lost now by the airlines themselves, who are also answerable to their investors, right? Along with a continued anger that is building, that ten of Wands that we got. And that is a note in this deck. I'll put it in the description box, but I'm using the 8th House Tarot, a really astrological deck. This is Saturn in Sagittarius. Timing wise, Sagittarius is what? End of November to towards the end of December, right? Major travel time. So that's when I think people's more and more stories of how this is impacting people. It's more of an inconvenience, though. You all notice I pulled quite a number of cards here. I'm not getting the devil, I'm not getting the tower, I'm not getting anything that feels like anything catastrophic, but it is more about tension and anxiety and frustration. That ten of swords, right? You know, anxiety and frustration that just reaches a boiling point, and so you're going to have Duffy increasingly coming under pressure to work with these airlines and work something out, irrespective of what is happening with the deal in Congress, Affordable Care Act, SNAP, and all the other issues that are happening right now at this so-called impasse. There's something where they're going to have to begin to work outside of that to figure out some solutions. All right, I hope that was helpful, and again, by all means, it's completely understandable, whatever decisions people feel like they need to make that's in the best interest of their families, but it is also about soldiering on to some extent, and recognizing that we have got to we cannot allow what they want is for everybody to just go and get in their beds and throw the covers over their heads and say I retreat, and that cannot happen. The more visible this becomes, the more people show up and decide I am not going to be cowed by this. The airlines are going to have to work with me as I work with them, and we're going to have to figure this out because I'm going to see my families, or I'm going to continue to do what I have to do. That's the direction that I see this taking. All right, you all? All right. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm going to post this a little later in the day. On Sundays, I've been posting earlier, and I've noticed my numbers dropping. I don't know if that's, the algorithm doing what it does. I don't know. But thank you all for subscribing. Thank you. Hit that notifications bell so you'll know when I post it. And thank you so much for the hypes as well. They really do help as I try to grow the channel and continue to show up here and do what we do, try to give you some good content. Meanwhile, chin up. That's how we do it. Chin up, shoulders back, relax, breathe. Breathe more than ever, right? Come from your heart space and know that when light shines, darkness disperses. Darkness cannot hold itself in the face of light. Doesn't work that way. All right, you all? I'll talk to you real soon. Take good care. Bye.